before we were sworn in last month, so we will swear him in sometime during the meeting. Is there any other additions or take-ups? I would entertain a motion to approve the amended agenda.
I would so move.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. And Rebecca seconds. Okay. And we will move on to number 5, public comment. Is there anybody on Zoom that has indicated they would like to speak?
I show no one.
Okay, anybody here in person? Okay. We will move on then to the approval of board minutes, number 6. I would entertain a motion.
I would move that we accept the minutes. Also,
If we have a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Mary, would you do a roll call, please? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, that one.
On page 6, just second paragraph about Cannon Beach. Has that been done in terms of or regarding transportation?
We're just talking about the minutes,
No,
Project.
if something's been done. Okay, well, okay. Then on approval of board minutes, 7, the first thing, move to approve the request that the minutes be read into the minutes. No, that's not right, it was attachments.
Okay.
No, I meant, that isn't what I said. There was some correspondence or something. So that's what I just asked to be attached to the minutes. And I have to say I misplaced my some minutes at the moment.
I'll look back in the minutes.
Okay.
You're saying it's missing from that, from.
I'm saying that's not what I said. I was never asked the minutes to be read into the meeting. It was attachments.
There was a special meeting that we just got the minutes that day.
I have to search more. I haven't gotten all my papers yet.
Okay.
I'm getting there. Okay, and then, okay, I'm not supposed to do that. Okay.
Anything else? Anybody else? Okay, Mary, would you give the roll call, please?
Commissioner Bouchnet,
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald,
yes.
Commissioner Nino,
Yes.
Commissioner Langria,
Yes.
Commissioner Withers,
Yes.
Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
Commissioner Mayor.
Yep.
That's it.
Okay. Moving on to number 7, reports from chair and commissioners, and I will start with Deanna today.
The only thing I have to report was that I was at the meeting for the Transportation Advisory Committee, and the members of the committee that showed up to the meeting were we were all very good. We worked together. It was a healthy discussion, and it was just a very, very, very nice to see everybody again on the committee. That's it.
Thank you. Charles?
Nothing to report. I did want to request, seems like somewhere along the way, our Outlook got put into like super secure, get entry to our Outlook accounts. Where you have to get the authentication, identification and all this. I was a government contractor for 15 years. It was easy to get it to government sites and get in my own Outlook. Because if I'm not on my phone or my laptop, it's very difficult to get in from just a computer. Jeff sort of instituted or implemented a sort of firewall of some type to get in. And I was wondering, can we look into tonight removing that? I mean, most of what we do is public anyway, and if they get into our account number, and they're smart to get in, they can certainly figure out how to get in there, but
Maybe you and Jason can talk to today after the meeting, and because I don't have any trouble, but I only use my computer, so.
Is that authentic?
You're saying you can get in on your phone, get in on your home computer, but on another computer.
Because it asks for that authentication thing. It asks,
Oh, the authenticator?
yeah, it asks for that.
Okay.
Is that required by SBAO or something Mr. Hazen set up?
No, I think that may be something to put in place.
I just don't see that need for it, because it limits me from, say, if I'm on vacation, don't wanna, say I wanna read something, I can't get in.
We'll look into it, and we'll put something out on the board as well. Resolution.
Okay, yeah, because that limits me when I'm traveling. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Pamela? Report?
Oh, no,
Rebecca? Nothing new to report.
Yes, glad to be here this morning. Good to see you all. The good news is that I've been officially released from our department to start my rotation. And they haven't told me when I start, the logic tells me it'll be the first of September. Even though I'm retired back in July.
So you'll be able to attend more meetings for longer.
Yes.
All right, good. All right, good, thanks. Tracy?
Completed my training from STAO. All of you, we are doing everything that I know of to comply. And all of that was the original that I did with Pamela and I. All of that is still prevalent. I did want to make note, and this is for future. When the next time we have a budget and we need to prepare that, it is an option for us to have someone besides the executive officer be that person.
Well, we had asked for that a year ago,
Uh-huh.
and Mr. Hazen said that Kelly would be the officer this year, but he never worked with her
So,
to get her into that, where she was
Oh,
being
I
able
see.
to do that.
okay.
Coming.
Gotcha.
It's almost there this year.
Okay.
It's close.
So,
Yeah.
and then, do you wanna talk about that policy
Well,
you found?
Yeah, there is a policy that said, there is a SETD policy that says the executive director will be the budget officer. But that is no longer true. Kelly is ready to fill that role, but it's still up to the committee to appoint a budget officer, and that being anybody that the budget committee wants to appoint. I think Kelly is well positioned to do the job. Still, that's really important.
Right, and I had never seen that policy before. We don't know exactly when it came in, who approved it, but it specifically said the executive director. So that, and we will be starting to look at policies in the near future, so we'll get some of those outdated and whatnot. So,
Fair investigation.
yes.
So,
And I have nothing to report this month, so, moving on then. I've seen everything today. Moving on to number 8, our financial reports, and we do have Paul here, our auditor, and I think he wanted to speak first, and then we'll move on to the rest of it.
First of all, to address the questions that came up. I've seen finance directors, I've seen executive directors, so it's choice. Kelly can always call me a budget question. So I'm here to report, Kelly has a draft of the 22 audit finally, so that's good news, she'll be reviewing it. Make the comments on it. As you heard me say in my board deliveries before, technically that is your financial statement, we just that is technically a non-audit service. There's a lot of rules about making sure we're independent and all that, and providing that service, so. We're gonna have to make sure it's reviewed by your management team. That audit will have a paragraph in the opinion and a footnote that discusses last April. As professional standards require, something like that happens before I issue the audit report, I have to then mention in the audit, so that will be mentioned in the audit. Just make you aware that's gonna happen. They have field work set for 2023 already. So any questions for me? I will say, I don't know if Kelly's told you, there's kind of a lack of auditors in the state right now. We have fired 2,000 hours worth of our own audit work just recently, so one full-time person on my team now has more time. And you guys aren't one of them, so. And Kelly and I were talking earlier, and I called up the state website, the number of delinquent audits, 9 pages long document. And looks like not one of the school districts, Clatsop County, is filed their audit that year. For 2022. As Kelly told me, there's 5 school districts, and there were 5 on slides. And that's public site, anybody can go to that site and find out who's delinquent, who's not going. That's crazy, I've been doing this for 40 years, I've never seen it. Any questions?
Well, a follow-up, which would be, why do you think there's,
So it's a lack. About 5, 7, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, I was at a training and somebody was teaching a class that there's a lot of gray heads in this room and not so many non-gray heads in the room. And COVID hit and a lot of the gray heads retired. I am actually, as I was telling Kelly, we have a plan. If a partner doesn't properly transfer clients, we can reduce my retirement. My retirement date's a little over 4 years away. I'm already starting to introduce my replacement for all my clients. So, and since 2011, I don't know why, the number of people studying accounting has been declining steadily over the years. Why wouldn't anybody want to be an accountant? I don't understand.
that's interesting.
Even with my retirement, given the lack of people that are out there, I'll probably be hired back part-time. It's not really hard. Still continue working part-time.
Paul understands that.
Yeah.
Paul has lots of experience.
Any other questions? All right. And as I told Kelly, I was actually up here last 2 days. We are auditing the city of Warren's. I'm going home today. So that's why I'm up here at Warren City Hall.
Worked out well for him to be able to.
Worked out well for me to be able to.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, we'll go on to the financial reports. And I did have questions, Kelly.
Okay.
So on our dashboard here, I just want to make sure that I'm reading it right. Our available balances, so this means we have 1, 2, 3, 4 checking accounts now. Is this correct?
As of that date,
As of that date, as of the 16th. So when we're gonna open a new account for STIP funds?
we have a new account open for STIP funds. But that's not on there. Everyone's STIP funds report.
And then our monthly expenditures. And for the week of 7/31, week of 8/14, and the projected week of 8/28, all of that has already been deducted from those accounts, is that
The
correct?
projected AP has not,
Okay.
but the payroll for 8/11 had been, because I did this report on 8/16, so I already knew what our payroll was gonna be,
Okay, so, but not the projected payment.
but not the projected payroll,
So-
or the projected AP.
So when I took the 173,000 and some, and took the 36,000 off, I didn't get the 149. I got 137,480. Should the 36 come out of that 173 at some time?
Yes, and 15 should.
So I didn't get that same balance. So it should be, instead of the 149, it should be 137,482.42.
Did you take,
I just took the 36 from there.
you need to take the 15 from there also. 122, 482, 482.
122, okay, forward. Then the outstanding ODOT funds. We haven't gotten the 3111 yet, we haven't got the 30, we haven't got the 5311, we haven't got the 5310. We did get some stiff monies.
We did get a couple of things, this last week. So we got, the stiff discretionary reimbursement of 40,253. Okay. We got the STF, fourth quarter, and that should say fiscal year 23, not 22. Okay. For the 23,236. We also got, a total of 400 and. More 34, hold on. I wrote 460.
458 or
437.60. Which was our, we kind of called it like rollover from the 21-23 this biennium. And then 26,779, which is the population-based portion of STIS.
what was that last number?
For Q1, excuse me,
What was the last number?
$26,779. And that amount is towards actually Q1 population based for fiscal year 24. So we still have 173,433 owed. That's okay. And that's the portion that our OTIP out of.
What's that number again? 173?
173,433.
33.
This happened last week?
Friday night, Saturday morning.
Much more.
Okay, perfect. Okay. And then. I just want to clarify on page. Okay, page 13, the 6111 taxes, that's employment taxes.
Yes.
And the 8,000 audit for 12,000, are we gonna have, is that audit paid or are we gonna owe more on our audit?
That should be. That should, I believe that's the rest of the fiscal year 22 audit, and then going forward, we'll have,
This one that he just finished, okay,
this is for the one that you just finished. And then going forward, we'll have the 23.
okay, all right. Okay, that's all I had. Does anybody else have any questions? Pamela?
I thought that we had talked about, with all the ODOT money, that each, grant would have a specific date that it was sent, the date that it was received, the, matching funds, or us suggesting that if we didn't, and the balance, the expenditures and the balance each month. So the thing is that all the information about the ODOT funds, it's all over the place. And so it'd be nice to have, to look at each grant number with the specifics. You want me to repeat that?
So you wanna see on a monthly basis, like what we've spent towards each grant?
The whole, like a little history, the date that the board approved it, the date that we received the money, the matching funds that Sunset gave, the specific expenditures, and the balance each month.
You really asked for the addition of a
Yes. And I don't know, if I feel like, there's, well, I think I said this.
I think it would be nice to see how each of those funds, maybe not that detailed, because it might be a lot of work, but at least have a general idea of, from this funding, we spent this much this month, and there's this much left, and there's this much that we need to receive or something.
So our
agree with that.
reimbursements are processed on a quarterly basis. So that piece of it wouldn't show monthly, I mean, I can show,
You could go as of this date.
yeah, I can break, I mean, I have a document similar to that I use, it's just large. It's a very large spreadsheet.
And would it be acceptable for staff to deliver that information on a quarterly basis?
Yeah, and the other reason I have mentioned this is because if there's any question about where the money went, whether it went to that specific grant or to another avenue, you can see that and catch it.
Yeah, not have to wait for a whole year
For an
until we
audit or
finally
something.
see where the money went, but quarterly would be,
Yeah,
I think that would.
Quarterly would be acceptable, I think it would be more meaningful, it would not weigh Kelly down too much.
Yeah.
okay, I mean, I realize it's a lot of work, but I think that may, hopefully, that would also address any concerns any entity has. Thank you.
Thank you. So. On page 15. This is our accounts receivable aging. And then item 6060, this is Clatsop County Sheriff. I've asked about this before and I know what they are. It says May 2022 poker chips, June 2022 poker chips. I know that this is like bus passes that we provide to the county. Is there any way we can change that name poker chips? I really, it's kinda, if somebody doesn't know that, and if the public reads that, it's really confusing.
No, you're correct.
Can we just call it bus passes?
Sure.
Well, this was a program that was negotiated, and I think the word poker chip was used just because.
Then can we
Oh,
do
that's
that
like
or
where it is.
something?
Yeah,
I know.
Is that the sheriff department?
we could probably get away with calling them tokens or something.
Yeah, tokens or
Bus tokens.
passes or some,
Bus
yeah, cause it's,
Passes might be, confusing, but
I can
there was some method behind that ad that said.
I figured there had to be something, it was before my time when it was poker chips and so.
yeah, maybe they were,
And you know they aren't physical poker chips.
I know.
Okay.
I just seeing it there from the sheriff, poker chips with the bus system, it's weird,
So it doesn't say every Thursday night though, does it?
I know.
My personal experience, AC clubs and chips and not a lot of chips.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
saying.
This bus token, that one.
And then on page 21, I know that our reconciliation credit card is not the most accurate, but I was just looking at the items that were related to the Nevada conference. That I can see that Jennifer Geiser is the one who went, but then on page 14 for travel training, the total we had was 1,328.94, and then when I see these here, they don't add up.
There's additional training besides just NWADA in the travel training.
Got it, and
And actually, the NWADA training, will be reimbursed, correction. Yeah.
so this is the one that will get reimbursed.
Correct,
Oh, I thought
but
it was
not
an
until
additional
after it's completed.
Beautiful, that is it for me, thank you.
I had one more question. Actually, on page 16. And we may have already answered this. So on the ODOT part of it, where they owe 158,000, 6,000, 40,000, 30,000, we're still waiting for those to come in, or is that part of what they're holding?
That's part of what they're holding.
That's all I had. I got Pamela first and then Deanna and then, Pamela and then Charles.
On page 14. I don't know, I have a mental block, I don't remember what this one is. 8031, online sub, what does that mean?
Subscriptions and IT services.
Okay, so they're in the red,
$28.70.
but this is, August. So, and I've forgotten what these subscriptions are.
The IT is all of our
I
iFocus,
no, I know what IT is, what's the
Like-
subscription?
any online subscriptions that we have,
Adobe.
yeah,
Oh,
Adobe, all of that kind of stuff.
Okay,
Zoom, Microsoft.
so should we be concerned that we're over?
It's only 1 month, that's just 1 month so far, so we could make that up next month, we might not be over, we might be under next month. Cause this is just for July.
Just for July.
Yes, I understand.
And we've had some extra Zoom issues. So we've had IT that's had to help us a couple of extra times. I can think of like $400 off the top of my head of costs for that we wouldn't normally incur.
Okay,
So
thank you.
Charles, did you have something?
No, I can't do that.
Any other questions concerning finances? Now, Terry, would you introduce some minutes for us? Then we will go on to number 9.
You could vote. Yes, for the minutes, for minutes.
Sorry. We'll move on to number 9, continued business and our updated STIP formula approval.
Is that the worksheet?
This one.
We're working on
I think you have a worksheet and you also have a
Plan.
single document now.
Could I just ask one more question on signing the budget?
We already entered it in.
Okay.
The tax committee met in January-ish, and made a recommendation to the board to approve a STIP plan that was presented by staff at that time, which was approved, was sent to the state, went through the process, and then we are snagged. And so our plan, as it was submitted, was, I would say, conditionally approved. The 2 projects that we had in that plan that you approved that supported operations were approved. The other projects, which were related to fixed route service and the stop at Ensign and the new buses, those projects weren't approved. And it seems that the reasoning is pretty logical behind that. We need money to get our service back, not to be doing some of these other things. So we do have approval on part of our STIP fund, but it was kicked back, and Arla, procedure from ODOT, took that fund because of Kelly's and my unfamiliarity with how they originally prepared. And Arla redid that plan for us to more closely reflect our needs today, which is to cover operations, to cover administration, to cover matching funds where we need it, and for the terms of the OTIP loan to make payments, quarterly payments out of the STIP to pay off the OTIP. So we have passed out the plan as tax on it, all the details, but I also made a little matrix for you to look at, which may be easier for us to talk about this morning, rather than to get into all the fascinating facts that we got from. As you can see on the matrix, we just have 5 projects now this year. Bear in mind, still, this is a worksheet for the biennium, so we've got FY 24 on here, which we're currently in. These numbers, under FY 25 will apply next year. The whole plan is a biennial plan. The first project is match funds for 5310. 5310 is mobility management and preventative maintenance. Preventative maintenance being for our vehicles. This covers the cost of that preventative maintenance, and it covers salary and other expenses in our mobility management group. Questions on that? And this, I'm sorry, this is the match money. We still need money to pay our portion of those expenses, but this is money that will match our money. It'll lessen the flow. The next project 2 is match money for 5311. That's for operations, also preventative maintenance, administration for fixed routes that have been, it says have been reinstated after recall service. So this helps us with our delivery of service on fixed routes every day. And again, this is match. And shame on me for not having the percentages for you right here, but we would make up the difference on those funds out of, normally out of local funds. But as you'll see in project 3, funds have been provided now in STIF for operations. So project 3 is 100% funds for operations. It doesn't have to be match. Any match that's required can come out of project 2. This is to help us because we don't have any reserve since we ran out of money. And these things cost us upfront with reimbursement at the back end. This is to do that. So the STIF will provide funds.
Can I make one brief comment?
Please.
So the STIF funds do not have a match. So the operations that's 100% for operations with no match.
Thank
you.
That's good. Operation and administration, those two steps, those are both.
Right.
Okay, so
So
we're all 600,000.
Thank you for that. So project 3 is operations, project 4 is administration. It mentions in here planning for new financial software. As we believe we've mentioned before, that isn't purchasing a new system. It's the expense in looking into new systems. Maybe a visit to another property to see how they use the system they have. It's preparing for a new system. And the last project, project 5, is OTIB debt service. That's our loan from ODOT. It's $309,000 a year. That's not exactly accurate. That $309,000, I believe, was based on us borrowing the full $1,020,000, and we didn't borrow the whole amount. So we'll have to see. Kelly has asked for a statement and a receipt for the payments that are made out of our STIF, and we'll get a new amortization table each quarter that we make payments. So it will be less than $309,000 each quarter, each year, which is less than $68,000 each quarter. That was
That was for the other. 5,000 each.
Are there any questions or maybe some clarification or discussion?
Emily, go ahead.
The concern is about the financial software. We started, since I've been here, they've had QuickBooks, that was problematic. And now we have AccuFund, that's problematic. So a question I have is, has there been research of other entities that have used AccuFund? And what the problems are, issues? They said, forget it, we're never going to use it again.
I haven't reached out to any other entities that currently use AccuFund. I just know the problems that I had with the support system and actually getting the program to operate correctly. And that's, part of the thing is trying to find something that's gonna be, it's gonna give us the information that we want, the way that we wanna see it, and that's gonna be user friendly. And we want it to be able to provide everything, but I can't just jump ship to a new system. Even if I found one today that I wanted, because everything isn't accurate and AccuFund, so we have to go through and fix all of that before we can even, really find a new system, because otherwise we would still be in the same, we would still have some of the same problems.
I understand that. What do the other, the 5 transportation systems use?
Which I,
Or our Northwest and Columbia.
Columbia County is actually part of the county, so theirs uses a county system, so it's different. I believe Tillamook recently changed systems. They had reached out to me a couple months ago, wanting to know what we used. And the other few I haven't talked to. But that's part of the planning, is reaching out to other districts and other places.
We have become aware that there are other transit properties in Oregon that use that. I think that during the year, we'll probably talk to them at length and see how they're getting around what we feel are problems. I wouldn't say at this point that we're gonna throw it at fund some arrow. That's what this effort is gonna be for us, to find what will do what we needed to do for us here. It's again been my experience that there has not been a robust effort to search for the software that finance in the past. Some of these processes have been done somewhat in the shadows. I hate to use that term, but staff has not been involved. There hasn't been a project plan that outlines what systems we're gonna look at, what properties we're gonna interview, and a more traditional procurement plan that ends up with some competition, some demonstrations, and a decision made on performance, price, and results. I think that will happen this time. I think Kelly will see that happens this time. I know that the board will be kept in the loop. So I wouldn't be concerned at this time that we're gonna make a quick decision and make a mistake. Understand that there'll be a lengthy process. If we're gonna change systems, or if we're going to improve our relationship with the software suppliers that we already have.
The other concern is that, so the numbers aren't correct, which gives me the heebie-jeebies, which is nobody's fault. So where does that leave us in terms of planning? So because we're not approving the budget, is that correct? No, because of the situation.
Budget's
No,
approved.
the budget's approved, the minutes, or the financials, not approving the financials was something totally different. It doesn't have to do with the numbers being correct or incorrect.
And what is it? What do you mean by that?
Did you guys just enter the financials in, which was a change, but I don't know exactly what that change.
That means that we're taking what you have given us as face value.
Right.
And we're not taking responsibility that all those numbers are correct.
Which is how it should have been done.
Right.
So does that mean we accepted it rather than adopted it?
Yes.
And that has a particular statute that.
I sent you all those articles on that.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Deanna?
Thank you. So I know that when we went over this worksheet at the Transportation Advisory Committee, excuse me, we had, like on the last column, it says recommended projects. That's just a list of the projects, but we had also kind of ranked them. in priority. I don't have those numbers on the top of my head. Do you have those?
Yes, we have those, we took those down, and we will apply them wherever we can. As I tried to explain at the tech, that these project numbers are the numbers on the plan that you receive. What Tito was going for at the meeting was to assign priorities to each of the projects. The truth of the matter is that these projects are ongoing every day throughout the year. And we can't choose when we're gonna use one, we're not gonna use one. If we have operations to pay for, we're gonna pay for it, it's for operations. That happens every month. We can't say, well, administration will take priority over operations. So before there was STIP, there was a list of projects that the district was proposing, and TAC would say, out of these 20 projects, we're gonna rank them this way, and there's enough money to cover the top 7 projects. So that's the work to do. This is a different approach. This is more of a financial approach than a project approach.
I can help speak to this, that's okay. So this is kind of the cart ahead of the horse, what we did. We tried to get this in to be able to get it to be approved by both PTAC and the OTC. I neglected to let Paul know that he needed to get it in front of the advisory committee and then in front of the board. So basically, this plan has already been submitted to ODOT. We have reviewed it. We're gonna forward it on to PTAC in September and the OTC. So it was my fault that this is kind of backwards, but in actual ways to do it is that the executive director would have a list of projects they wanted to do and put into the STIP plan, go to the advisory committee, have them rank them, then they would enter those into the plan in rank order.
And then be submitted
Correct.
to ODOT. So we've already submitted it.
Yes.
So then today, this is just discussion because we can't really, like
Well,
the board.
they have to accept.
Right, they have to approve it.
That recommendation.
So today at this meeting, we're going to approve the TAC recommendation, but we can't change anything. Just put it, because it's already been submitted.
Right, and it's just been narrowed down to normal everyday type operations instead of pie in the sky. So I personally don't know what you want to change, but.
No, I don't want to change anything. I just
Okay.
remember having the discussion of the
Right.
ranking, and in previous years,
Right,
we always rank them. So that's why I just once was wondering about that.
because
I
the
understand.
original plan was declined,
Mhm.
most of it.
Yeah.
This is what we're up to now. I try to make sure you guys still get the funds, but they're not as, extravagant. That won't get passed by OTC.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, Charles?
In regard to our current finance software, and seems like to me it's that we're not getting the service or the online help that we need when we need it. To me, I would say if you talk to someone, I find whoever loves the software. And that's because obviously they're doing something different. So if you talk to the ones complaining like us, then maybe they're doing the same thing we're doing wrong. But there's other entities like ours who are doing just fine. I talk to them. I speak from past experience because if you sell something, that's one thing. The follow-up service can ruin the pie. So I would say if there's two districts that are saying we love them and we need to talk to them in detail, figure out what they're doing, because they're asking for the same thing we're asking for, right? They're asking for data, they're asking for all the things that we would be asking for. So if I would just suggest anything, I would suggest find the ones who love the software and then see what they're doing, and perhaps that would be a better lead, because the old adage is that people who like something never write opinions, and people who hate it write it gloriously. And that's what I would suggest.
Thank you, Charles. And Tracy?
I just comment on the, Charles's point. If you guys remember back, we had 3 packages of software when we considered, and we picked our current one. I'm thinking that we bought a Chevy. And it's acting like a Yugo this week, so. um, We should have spent the extra money. Neither here nor there. So the physical structure of bus sheltering at Ensign Lane is out of the picture now completely,
For us, for this biennium,
or the biennium
I think
thing.
Wada or Tillamook has taken more of leadership in that project at this point.
Yeah, they're gonna continue on with an RFP or an RFQ
Okay.
to forward the Tillamook bus stop and the Lincoln County bus stop. But since you guys don't have match for the bus stop in Ensign Lane, there's no way to put it in.
Okay, that's all.
Okay,
Rebecca.
anything else on this? Oh, I'm sorry, Rebecca.
No, I don't know if this is an appropriate time, but, did we actually set a date or, get close to setting a date for financial training?
I have a couple of phone calls in and I haven't heard from anybody, so we may have to do something other than, my plan was to try to get somebody from within the county. And I haven't heard back from the county yet, so we may have to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that's.
I know SDLA, I think I've done the SDLA training, and I just thought if we had something more personal than that,
More
so,
appropriate for what, how we set up and look.
so I am,
Specifics, looking at our actual.
looking into that, but
How about PSU? Portland State University Business School.
I'm trying to get somebody that wouldn't cost us anything. Some volunteers.
Well, there is the college, college has contract training and they may, as a
Own small business.
community partner, provide that for us.
Oh, look into those.
Or
Yeah.
Kevin,
Newest county employee, that's county.
I had emailed Don and hadn't heard back from him, but I'm assuming that he's probably busy getting, I had asked for Monica or Sandy up in the financials. If they, because I kind of asked for tutoring, but I haven't heard back about it yet.
or Kevin Leakey,
I can try, have the small business.
economic
maybe,
development.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
it's too late.
okay. I do need a motion so we can pass this.
I so move to adopt the recommended worksheet plan for the biennium of 2024-2025 as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. Mary, we've already done our discussion, I think any more discussion. So Mary, you wanna take a roll call, please?
Commissioner Bouchnet,
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald,
Yes.
Commissioner Nino,
Yes.
Commissioner Legria.
Yes.
Commissioner Withers.
Yes.
Commissioner Reed.
Yes.
Commissioner Romero. Motion passes.
Thank you, Mary. Next on our list is, oh, we did add the OTIV loan status. Or was that? Done with that, okay.
What does that stand for?
Oregon Transportation Infrastructure
I'm sorry, last word?
Bank.
Bank.
It's the same as OTIF, which is fun.
Okay, so move on to,
I'm sorry, did we cover that? Loan status? We kind of got off on a couple of.
I think we did.
Let me just run through it real quickly, and this, I'm thinking we did. What we have to report on the loan status is that we did get the second third draw on that. So we received the initial 500,000, secondly was 225, and the last I believe was 195. So your math said we were at 915.
Last 190.
195.
That's not, they were at the
So we borrowed 920,000 feet that's available for us. And if we can avoid borrowing in order to do that, and with funds that we're receiving now, we probably can continue to operate without additional loan. That loan was that extension to that loan made before our last board meeting, you recall?
It was at our last board meeting, it extended till the end of September.
So that brings you up to date, except to say that we are waiting for a statement or an invoice from the state saying how much the payment will be, since we didn't borrow all the money. And we're waiting for under the conversation table to show us what the payment will be for the second.
And we are, and we're not being, because we haven't got our stiff, and that was the agreement, is the money gonna come out of that, we're not being penalized or anything for having late payments on this part of it.
No.
Okay.
And I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think in the email, it said that last stiff payment would be made in August. Is that still?
Yes, it has gone through ODI's Financial Services, and it should be deposited in your account at any time. And it's gonna be about 126,000 and change.
Perfect, thank you.
Just have one.
Yes.
On page 1 of your, let's see, the Special Transportation Advisory Committee, the loan, I don't think it's for $100 million. Okay? Page 1,
Where are you?
the first page on the back, right?
On the minutes?
Jack.
The top.
Oh, yeah.
Good catch.
I thought you were gonna make a difference.
I was hoping.
Okay, just trying to make sure we could really.
And we thought you were gonna make a difference.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else,
I
Pam?
don't have 5 years.
Is there anything else? Then we'll move on to our new business and paid leave. Sue.
Okay, so, you received the, copy of the draft Oregon insurance policy in your packet, I hope. Everybody had a chance to review it. Basically, it was a template that was sent to us through HR Answers. They're very helpful with everything that they do. We have something that's called an Advantage Plus program through SEAO, with our HR Alliance group. And so they are the ones that put out templates and things for us when new laws come into effect. So let's see, our employees were able to, if they knew of something that was coming up, something that they would use the Oregon paid or the paid leave Oregon insurance for, they were able to apply for it August 14th. It goes into effect September 3rd. And so it's all the office of the Oregon Employment Department. Basically, we have a form, you saw it in the policy, where they just notify us that they are taking this leave and for how long, so that we can do our thing within the organization, or if we need to fill in for a petition or something. But otherwise, Oregon Employment Department takes care of everything, and we don't know what they're out for. They approve it or don't approve it. They have 12 weeks that basically run concurrently with their our FAMLA, but we are of a size right now that we don't really have protected leave for our employees. But Oregon paid leave, if you have one employee, they are eligible to participate.
So I don't think we did get that in our packet.
No.
So if we could get copies before. And one question I had, so do our employees have sick time?
Yes,
So let's pretend Kelly, because I'm gonna pick on her, she's going out for something major, but she only has 5 days of sick time.
Does she use that first and then Oregon steps in?
No, they do not require.
So
You
what
can
do you
use your,
use?
you can supplement your, you can supplement your income with your vacation or your sick leave if you would like. But basically, it's a savings to your sick leave and vacation day, with Oregon, with paid leave Oregon.
It does have to be made sure serious and can't just be.
Yeah, I mean, it's all of the things that are covered basically with, FEMA or OFA. And, the only other, change, and then Bowley has adopted it as well, is that they added that, it's not somebody that is like family. So if you have somebody who, needs care, who is like family, and you need to take off to care for them, it is covered. So if they don't have to be related, they don't have to by blood. That was really a big, yeah, I know,
And it's 12 weeks period.
12 weeks, and yeah.
Anybody else have
How
any
does this
questions?
coincide with FMLA?
I mean,
How does this tie in with FMLA?
it runs concurrently, it will run concurrently. When we again have over 25 employees, it will run concurrently with paid leave Oregon. Actually, Oakland and FEMLA, if you have over 50 employees like in the county, it ran concurrently. The difference between Oakland, they have, I can't speak to what exactly it is, I have to look it up. But Oakland has a few more benefits than FEMLA does. And so, that's why, you know, it depends on what the employee needs to take off for, but they run concurrently. So Oakland, FEMLA, and paid leave Oregon would all run concurrently for 12 weeks. And then each employee received a employee guidebook that's put out with Oregon Employment Department, which is very inclusive of everything they need to do, requirements and everything. And I did an overview with the employees at our last barbecue, so. And then I would of course help whatever they needed to do, but basically, I did it with one employee recently, and it's pretty much like applying for unemployment. You know, you just go through the questionnaire and all of that, it's kind of geared that way.
And they will do that directly with the employment.
Right. I get notification that we've had an employee apply, and then in here, it says that you're supposed to notify human resources, and then they fill out the form. So that we know what's going on within our organization, whether or not we need to fill out.
Pamela?
So how much would this cost me? It's a good policy, but we haven't put it in our budget.
Well,
It didn't
probably
happen.
have, because it's part of payroll. We've been paying on it since January. So it's 1% of gross salary, and so it's 0.006% the employee pays, because and 0.004% of the employer pays. And of course, we had, all employers had the ability to go ahead and pick up the whole 1%, but we did not. Our employers are paying 0.006 their gross salary to paid leave Oregon.
At this point, we're not paying anything because we're under 25 employees.
We actually are. And I really, yeah, I think you have to have over 10. No, I can't remember.
It's 25.
Is it 25? Oh, okay. But I don't know. I mean, we do, yeah. The employee still has to pay. The employer would not. But, you know, I just don't want us to end up in some kind of snafu in the end. I just kind of like to, and hopefully reach 25.
Yeah, because my account started.
Huh?
My account says we don't pay until we get 25 employees.
Right, yeah.
It started being deducted from payroll in January.
Okay, so the answer is Sunset doesn't pay anything.
Yes, we pay 0.004%
okay.
of our gross payroll.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
We could get copies before the meeting, that would be great.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, no, that's all right.
any other questions?
Actually, this does go into effect September 3rd, you're not gonna have another meeting, it doesn't have to be approved by the board. But, because it is signed, the executive director has the, authority to sign. Policies.
So we need to review it, then we'll have all sign up. Can we do that for next month? We'll put that on that, or do we need to have it?
It goes into effect September 3rd, we need to have this into a,
Like I said, but it's an operating policy, not a board policy.
Okay.
We're raised by the board, just.
Okay.
right, okay, of course, like I said, this template is from, HR source, and it is what it has to be.
Okay, it is state law, correct?
Any other questions?
So since it is a template and it is from HR, do you guys wanna look at it before we okay all to sign it, or?
Does it have a copy anyway?
Yeah, they're gonna get this copy.
It'll be in the.
I think she's getting for it now.
If
She
you
said
think
it's-
change it,
for-
you could do it in September.
Okay. So. Probably need to do a motion just to cover ourselves.
I move to approve the, paid leave Oregon, for our, employees, and, they have, Paul sign for the, which is a part of the operating policy.
Second. Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Mary, yes, do roll call please.
Commissioner Bushman,
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald,
Yes.
Commissioner Nino.
Yes.
Commissioner Labria,
Yes,
Commissioner Withers,
Yes.
Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
Commissioner Merrill.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Down to point number 11, correspondence. Any correspondence or anybody? Okay, and want to do that now?
I have a question. Sure. So what is considered correspondence?
Letters.
Is it anything, is it also emails that are sent to the board commissioners or to the current operations, administration? What should be discussed in our public meetings under correspondence?
Normally we just do letters from the public.
Written letters from the public.
I don't think the board has received correspondence unless you do marry that. Back.
Anything we get addressed to the board, anything, if it's emails, certainly, but if it's addressed to the board, that someone wants to comment, the board, that would be included. But I'll receive anything that, I'll receive anything else.
I think that's what I've been, that there was correspondence on June 7th, and correspondence is part of the record. That's what I think it is.
Because we did receive that email, and I know that Paul was also on the email that Barbara Blue sent. That she was proposing, like she had an idea of how to present the financials. Would that be considered correspondence?
Yeah, but that was to the board, was it not?
It was to the board members, yes.
Yeah,
No, I wouldn't presume to say they have something to look at. I wouldn't take the authority to say that was to the board and put it in the packet.
Okay.
So I would think that the board would have to come up with some metric for us to use to consider that in. I don't know. Let the chair know you want it included. Debbie and I put the agenda together and put it in there. But generally, it's been things that have come through post office or email that are complimentary or critical or informational relative mostly to our operations.
Okay, thank you.
I think that could be something that we could review in the, as we take another look at our policies, board policies, so
make a note of that. Thank you.
Hey, before we go on to executive director's report, let's get Guillermo sworn in.
Ooh. Gotta do the work.
He tried to get out of this last month.
I'm gonna step. So you guys have some.
We can get back here. Okay. Repeat after me, hold your right hand. I, Guillermo Romero, do solemnly swear
I, Guillermo Romero, solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Oregon,
the Constitution and law of the state of Oregon,
and that I will faithfully and honorably conduct myself in the office of Sunset Empire Transportation District Commissioner, position 6,
and I will faithfully
and honorably
honorably
conduct myself in the office
the
of Sunset Empire Transportation District,
Sunset Transportation District
Commissioner, position 6,
Commissioner position
to which I have been appointed
to which I have been appointed
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, I'll move right on to number 12, executive directors report.
Again, it's nice to have everybody in the same room. A couple of things that weren't in my report that I wanted to start off with. That's to bring you up to date on our situation with our website. It's a big deal. It's becoming very difficult to unravel. We have our website that we own, that's risingbuds.org. As Tillamook has its own website they own. But when the water was put together, West Oregon Transportation Alliance was put together, part of their work was to create the Northwest Oregon Transit.org website that our web address has pointed to for the last few years, that has been maintained through the efforts of NWADA, and for a reason yet to be determined, that website domain or the name for it that we pay for on a regular basis expired. And once the domain subscription expires, it's shut off. You can't get in there again. And the only person that can get in there is the person who is listed as the owner of that domain name. And we do not know who that is. Domain names are managed by different companies. Ours is managed by a company called GoDaddy.com. And they have very, very stringent security protocols. And if my name is not on that account for that domain name, they can't talk to me, they can't give me any information, they can't tell me who the owner is. And myself, Kathy Bond, and Brian from Tillamook, Arla, Trillium Software, a number of people have been working since Monday morning to try and get some response from GoDaddy to regain control of that, even to the extent that Tillamook sent copies of the intergovernmental agreement showing that NWADA was responsible for that link, and that the other parties in NWADA pointed to that link. They just sent back a response that says your name's not on the list, can't help you, consider this matter closed. It's just, to this point, it's been impossible to make any progress. We have a couple of avenues left to pursue, which Kathy and Tillamook is still trying to go down. In the interim, a connection has been made to the website that we used to use, which is nwconnector.org. And at least most of the time, if you go to ridethebus.org now, it will take you to Northwest, connect.org, connect4.org. But our buses all have the old website on them. There are links in many different providers' web pages that link to our old website. So it's not that we can just abandon that and pick up a new one. So we're kind of in a temporary situation right now, and Mary and I had quite a bit of trouble this morning trying to get into the website we're using to get some of this stuff posted. So I don't know where we are on that, except we have a temporary bridge that is some percent of it. And I'll tell you, there's a number of people working on it all day, every day now to get it correct. I believe the consensus of the involved parties at this point is that we're going to go back to nwconnect4.org as the website, because we do have ownership and access to that, but we're going to continue to pursue access to the Northwest Oregon Transit.org, which will point to the Northwest Connector, so that everybody who has links already embedded, so everybody has buses that say the old website will still forward the traffic to where we want it. So you can go directly to northwestconnect4.org and you can see our webpage. Many times you can go to ridethebus.org and it will forward you to northwestconnect4.org.
Somebody does a Google search, something in private transportation, it will get rerouted to Northwest Connect.
It would be nice, but it will not at this time. With Google and Bing, there is an effort, if I understood by Trillium yesterday, to file a document to speed up the process that Google would go through to update links. Otherwise, we're talking a week or more before the Google software recognizes that our path has changed. So it's the least desirable thing, and I'll just point it out before somebody else says it. At a time where the public is already concerned about our continued existence and what we've gone through, for them to see our website crash is very disadvantageous to us.
Yeah.
So is there any, would it be helpful for the public to know about this, or just keep it internally and hope that we can make this seamless and efficient?
Mary has been keeping the public as aware and via Facebook. We were trying this morning, just a few minutes before the meeting, part of why we were late, to see what things we are able to post on the page that we can get to now on the web page. And we will keep the public updated. But if they don't know how to get to that page in the first place and they don't use Facebook, we're going to have a bit of time where people don't know how to get to us. That's critical for our business, it's critical for our image, it's critical for our public meeting compliance. But it has been the most frustrating, unbelievable process to just get a door shut everywhere we turn. Nobody cares how important this link is to the whole county, the whole region.
And it's GoDaddy that's closing the doors on it.
And I understand it. And if you had a domain, what I've learned through this, and I don't mean to waste time here, but I learned something very interesting. There are people who just wait for a domain to expire, and then they buy it up and wait for the original owner to need it, and then they sell it back to the original owner. So we really wouldn't want to have an environment where somebody could bluff their way in to our account and hold us hostage. So I see why, but in their eyes, we're no more important than if I had a private GoDaddy account at home. So I guess from a security standpoint, that's to their credit. Gosh, it makes it tough on us. So we've already taken steps internally to make sure that this won't happen going forward with our ridethebus.org website. We've got it on automatic renewal. I've got Kelly all new credentials, so she's the owner of that account. I'm sure Tillamook has done the same thing. Once we get through to the Northwest Oregon Transit, we will find a way to make sure that we have at least 2 people in the alliance that have access to it, so this can't happen. What I think happened was that somebody left out of the loop and was using their credit card to do the renewals, and their credit card expired. And so a payment that we thought would be made wasn't made. And you know, if it's not paid by the end of that business day, they shut you off. There's nothing. Now, to their credit, they send out notices ahead of time. But they send them to the email of the owner. We don't know who that is. We don't know who got it. And they won't tell us who they sent that letter to. It is tough.
Yeah. So it's like a two-part thing, but now that you just mentioned that, I'm wondering, once Mr. Hazen left the district, we have access to his email account?
I will tell you that, yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Okay.
Number one, I went through all these emails. Number two, he has been cooperative when we have run into a snag on passwords that we suspect that he may know what goes on. So we have, through Mary, been able to reach out and ask him, and he has been responsive. Unless you can think of another avenue, I think one, so everything we can make now. It's terrible.
My other thing was that it would be maybe positive to make what's the word I'm looking for? Like a communication when it's official. Statement.
Oh, press release.
Press release, thank you.
Yes.
A press release, because in my experience, I also for my job work with social media, and Facebook is not the most, because of the algorithm. People don't, even if you post it, it doesn't mean that people are getting it. So if we did a press release, maybe with the help of the historian, or just having it out there more than just our accounts, and also sharing it with social services, with type of community action, DHS, like, so that any of those agencies that are helping people access, that they know what's going on, that they know how to reach our communications on our website, and maybe even make a small sign or something and put it on our bus stop. Like, there needs to be more than just social media, because people will not see it.
Planning on doing that,
Excellent point.
but kind of waiting to see if it came back.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
The gentleman who passed away that was running the Tillamook district, they already looked into that, I guess.
Gone through all of his emails.
Oh,
Transit outwards.
There you go. Yeah, I guess. I just want to mention, just to keep it in your minds here, that last meeting, Dennis, Bruce and Dennis from Anna Beach visited us and said a few words, and he and I have been talking every week or so, and the hope is that at some point we can start up some service to Cannon Beach, that Cannon Beach will supplement the cost. And I talked to him just before the meeting this morning, asked if he should come in or not, and I told him we're ready to vote on anything or make any decisions, because we still have some uncertainty in the stability of our funding. And although he's disappointed, he understands. But I just want to put it on the board's mind that in a meeting yesterday, we discussed it with Arla a bit, a decision was made, except that if we can afford to expand our service, we should do it. Where we are now is trying to determine that we can afford to do that over the long term. Not just for the end of the loan funds, or not just for this fiscal year, because we don't want to ever have to pull it back. So at some point, we'll make a presentation to the board as to what we expect to do, what it will cost. Hopefully, having thought about it, to support such a.
Excuse me, but what did you say originally about Cannon Beach, that they wanted to provide some funding?
Yes,
They also would?
yes.
So when would that fit in? We really can't do that
All
at
right.
this point with them.
Well, I did have a conversation with him and I asked him if he felt that funding that they would contribute would be just for this year or ongoing. He did indicate that it would be ongoing, but the amount of funding that Cannon Beach has to contribute is insufficient for the amount of service that we would have to run. We're making 2 trips to Cannon Beach a day now. Wow. That's not adequate to take care of their needs down there. If we pull those 2 routes out and just put them back on the 101, replace them with a circulator between the seaside and Cannon Beach. Just that move alone for those 2 runs would cost more than what Cannon Beach has to contribute. So we're gonna probably have to contribute more than half of the cost. And Jennifer's working on that now with Kelly. And, you know, we're gonna have some alignment down there, some schedule down there that's either gonna be a split schedule to catch morning and evening, or deal with the frequency or something to bring it down to a point where we're certain that we can support it financially for the long term. Maybe
It's
I'll have
good that we're
something-
working with them because they know what the needs are
Yes,
for the particular time for routing.
absolutely. As a matter of fact, Ruth put something out in the paper, I think, the survey. Was it paper or email to the chamber and a wider audience, because I got a copy of it, asking them, you know, what they felt were the hours that needed to be covered. Yeah. So
And we, I heard some correspondence, the city of Missoula, Montana. Their system has contributors or partners, if you would, from public entities, hospital systems, big supplier, employer that has a plant on the outside edge of the urban area. And that contributes to the district's funds to help supplement those costs. So we could encourage that
certainly,
in our area.
and
So are we just going over your letter, finish with Cannon Beach?
yes,
Okay, so, Rick Yelton has been trained successfully in processing payroll.
yes.
I didn't quite understand that. He was a bus driver, temporary.
Rick most recently was a bus driver supervisor.
Mhm.
He was laid off. We have our laid off employees on a list called back for temporary work or full-time work, whatever becomes available. But we only have one person doing payroll. So we have what's known as a single point of failure. If that person is sick or for some reason can't come to work, don't do payroll. Prior to what's happened here, I was backing up on payroll. But I can't do that now. So Rick, since he's available, he's able, willing, has been brought back as a temporary employee. And he's backing up the payroll desk. If there's a day, payroll week that Donna can't come in, Rick can process payroll. You should also know that Rick is also standing up our new vehicle maintenance software. And he's also driving. What else is he? There's one other thing. that he's- Oh, he's covered the front counter for Stephanie's vacation. So, you know, Rick is one of those people who wants to work, is quick to learn, has a good attitude, is loyal to the district. Did a great job for us as a supervisor. And so as we go down the list, we can call people back. The more we can call them back for, the better for the district. If it gets to a point where we can support another full-time equivalent, then he would probably be the one that we would bring back.
Well, he sounds like a challenge.
He's a good guy.
And we have a few.
Yeah, that's what I checked.
Jason is what?
Yeah.
Okay, then the next question is, that, purchase for the vehicle maintenance system, $6,000. Excellent. Just a question of, one, how that affects the budget. And two, is there a policy that the board approves over a certain amount of money?
$10,000.
10,000. Okay, and then the last but not least, and you have, Paul, you have met with the, pardon me, county manager and the city manager of Astoria to discuss our situation and its impact on the cities and county, blah, blah. Can you give us a summary of that, or is that?
No, that's fine. Mostly they were just being good neighbors. They wanted to reach out, make sure there was a connection. I think that Debbie had probably got the inroads going because she's been reaching out to many of the electric folks, public officials. But they wanted to get some insight as to what I thought happened here, what went wrong. They wanted to know how they could help. They wanted me to know how it was affecting people in their jurisdictions. And offered us some of their resources. They don't at this point have funds available to contribute, but we did generate a press release. And they encouraged me to let their public relations people take a look at it and dress it up a little bit, which I did. So we have a good relation with them. But no other commitments other than anything we need that they can help with, they're willing to do that.
Now, this is probably touchy a little bit. Since, is there any possibility that the county can monetarily give Sunset money, since they have a large geographical area and transportation is needed?
There's always that possibility. I'll tell you, timing is kind of important here. We're still trying to get our legs under us. I don't really want to get branched out. There was a word that was given to characterize some of our past practices here. And that word was aspirational. And I don't want to do any aspirational things right now. Number one, we just last weekend got some money to operate on. Kelly and I are going to need to check that out and see what that means going forward. Number two, almost a month from today, there will be interviews for applicants for the permanent position of executive director. And I really feel that it is more appropriate for that person to be the one who launches, follows through on a campaign like we're talking about. It would be wrong for me to start something and then have it not be what that person would do, or have that person have to inherit something that, was the way I would do something. So, yeah, I think the possibility is there. I think the timing is soon. I don't think right now.
And I took Amtrak the other day, and the lady at Amtrak said she really misses the lower Columbia connector. And I said, we'll do our best. And also, I think I tried to unravel. You said, I think it was you, that the lower Columbia is Amtrak. I don't think that's right. I talked to some people, and it's not
the
Amtrak.
feeling.
The point is Amtrak.
No.
Yes, it is.
No.
The point is.
The point is the
Excuse
state.
me. Oh, yeah. Pardon me. Pardon me.
Point is the state. But we had an interline agreement with Amtrak, which means that we had our own train numbers for each of our buses.
Yes, we
Portland
did.
and back.
Oh, really?
So anywhere in the world, you could go into Amtrak system, get book a trip on the train to Portland and on our bus to Astoria. And we had an arrangement where we would handle tickets through that interline agreement with the brand.
Because one of the things, for the point, you can get credit for miles. And eventually, so I did get a free ticket, but that doesn't apply to Lower Columbia Connector. and maybe when it's reinstated. You can, and it doesn't apply to if you take the bus from Astoria to Portland, you don't get any credit. But if you're coming from Portland to Astoria on the point, you get credit for the miles you've traveled.
There are a lot of agencies involved in these things for business reasons, visitor reasons. A lot of grants, the grant money that Cannon Beach is offering up is a grant for tourism that they get. So, you know, I think we all love the connector. I think it was a great idea. I think we were carrying close to 500 people a month, but it was awfully expensive sometimes. In retrospect, I wonder if we'd be where we are now if we hadn't taken such a big, expensive project on.
I would concur with that.
And frankly, and that's what I mean when I say aspiration. You'll know, if I'm not mistaken, was it not the first step? The grant to PDX?
Oh, it was actually a STIF discretionary that we did not write because you guys weren't able to do the work on the connector and wouldn't, if we did write it, we wouldn't have put the PDX extension on with the situation that you guys were.
So I guess the bottom line message I'd like to give here is that, again, we need to focus on Clatsop County, on people here who need us, on people that we can ultimately afford to help. And I think Portland would be great someday, but we couldn't afford it.
I wasn't
And we
talking
can't
about,
afford it.
the expansion to the airport, is that what you're talking
No,
about?
just,
Well, even that, even
Oh, just
the
the
Union
Portland.
Station stuff.
Just food for thought, just food for thought, is that perhaps the cities that it served, they could contribute. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Move on to Sue. Jennifer? Any questions?
The next page.
Wait, are you doing some?
Sue, yes, you have a
Okay.
question?
Yes. What does quiet seminar?
Oh,
What
quiet,
are-
with, quiet. I brought my notes, I thought I might have a question about that, it's very interesting. I'm like, what is this? So there are quiet trends, and it's about the belonging and connection of employees. Let's see, you have quiet quitting, where people are working, but they are constantly thinking about quitting. And recognition is a big deal for employees. And also there, I'll just read you some of the needs. People, have burnout in the sense of reduced accomplishment. Supervisors, managers are not recognizing employees the way that is meaningful to them, so more recognition from the supervisors and managers. Monthly, weekly check-ins with your employees, how are you doing? They suggested that to alleviate the quiets. And how does the person work well, understanding your employees and how they can work well. Like I said, recognition is a big deal of quiet quitting. And employees can't change what they do not know, so not doing our job in applying feedback is a very important thing, so. And this has been said many, many times, you've probably heard it, that employees don't leave leave the organization, they leave their supervisors. They do. No, not here. No. Quiet leaders, they lead to decline in employee engagement and productivity. So basically, they're just, they just kind of given up, they're not doing things for their employees and they're quiet. What are we doing to support our managers? That was a question, and then there's because loud quitting hurts an organization. When you've got somebody, spewing, bad things about your organization, we wish they would quit, but, and so they're loud quitting. Subconscious quitting is when employees are terminating themselves, because the organization, doesn't match their values. And a lot of that is the newer generation. It's Generation Alpha now is 2010 to 24. And so the next generation is gonna be Generation Beta. I thought we were still in Z, but I looked it up this morning because I wanted, to have an educated generation of what they were talking about when they said it is the newer generation, that the organization isn't matching up with their values, because values is a big thing. Anyway, we just culture of quiet thrivers, passion, purpose, and whys. We're meeting all of those. So it was very interesting. I mean, the clients there's a huge list.
I've been reading some about it, and it's like, if you have an employee that's really gone beyond what they're expected to do, but they're not getting any recognition, and the job is no longer fulfilling their needs, they just start cutting back on what they do. They just start doing the minimum and looking for other jobs. So pretty soon that employee, it might be one of your better employees. If you don't recognize them, they're not gonna probably stay too long. Or if there's also some awful bad bosses out there, supervisors, that will belittle employees. So then they just start doing the bare necessities, and they start looking for other work, and then they're just gone. And the management doesn't really realize how important they were until they were gone.
So I think what I got, the message I got out of this is that when we do get back, when we have our bus driver supervisors, then more managers, that there's more training done, and encouragement of more weekly meetings. I think that it's important to have, even if it's just brief a Monday morning, it's more. So anyway, it was super interesting. And Deborah Jeffries from HR Answers was the one leading this lunch topic. It was really cool.
Thank you.
Hey, Jennifer, don't mean to get you like this. Welcome back. Anything for Jennifer?
Thanks for the report. It's good.
Yeah. Jason?
Yeah.
Anything for Jason, guys?
I do have a quick question to ask you all. Why do people ride the bus?
Because it was there.
It was there. That's one of their ones. It's called the 3 Ps of transit. People ride the bus because of get to people, get to places, and possibilities. I shared that with the management team last week or something. 3 Ps of transit. People, places, possibilities, and I like the word possibility.
You continue to wear many hats.
Oh.
Your report is filling us in on all the different activities.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I like the YouTube videos.
Oh, thank you.
I like,
It's transit focus.
yeah, I like.
I think, Nicole, she's on Zoom. Does anybody have anything for Nicole? Mary?
I have a lot. Plenty and very busy meetings again. I do have a copy of, Pamela requested a copy of the Transportation Advisory Committee roster, if you'd like that. We'll have very many meetings per year. But when we do this, if you'd like a copy of that, send that to you, or I'll give you a copy of that roster. Right. Thank you. Yeah, I have one. Just so you know that we have, I'd like to read you this.
Sure.
It's Larry Miller, and he represents seniors. And Renee Bickmore represents disabled. Chris Brightmeyer did represent the educational institution, and I haven't connected with him, but he's no longer president at the college, so I'm not sure how, if they'll transition and just let that other, will be the other president of the college to be president, transition off the board, I don't know. Then Lynn Anderson, income, Diana Nino is our representative for the board, and public transportation, people with limited English proficiency. Tita Montero for local government, Nicole Williams is for government, she's the assistant administrator at the hospital. That's our committee this time.
Thank you. Also want to thank you for the minutes. We wouldn't know what's happened if you didn't do such great minutes. Thank you very much.
Apologize for the discombobulation today. It'll be better next week, next month.
Would you great work?
Discombobulated.
I think the board on a whole appreciates everything you do for us, so thank you.
And everybody, the entire staff, all employees,
Yes,
you know,
not
we
just
kind of
everybody.
glossed over Nicole's work, but I really appreciate that she's, continues to, coordinate the increase of, ridership. So, good team effort.
Yes. Susan, you had something else? Yeah, I think I'm a little discombobulated too, Mary, I apologize. And Jennifer for, was next on my agenda. Anyway, I just want to let you guys know that I sent Paul a draft of the prison policies. And so I'm hoping to get them forwarded to HR Answers after we have a review and Paul and management team. And hopefully we can have them to the board by the September meeting is what I'm really hoping. And it was another template from HR Answers that was used for the personal policies. So I'm excited. And next month we'll discuss starting to work on board policies, going over those and continuing to that.
Good.
So the 24th will be the meet and greet.
Oh, yes, I'm excited.
We
September.
did just a little brief review of, the timeline.
Yeah, sure.
And then the 25th.
So the 24th, are we set at 2 to 4? Here, 2 and then to 4. Do we need to like do a little potluck for treats or which that's very fashion? So the board could maybe be the ones to do the potluck and bring, Mary, you can do coffee and punch maybe. And then the rest of us can bring some little snacks and stuff for the meet and greet on Sunday the 24th. That would be great, guys. Thank you. And then on Monday, we will have our 4 boards together, and we are going to be doing that up at the college. Do we have room numbers yet?
No, I'll send something.
Okay, I think.
And where we're still negotiating those, making sure.
So that's where all of the panels will be, is up there, and we'll figure out what we're gonna do, if we're gonna do a lunch or something, or everybody's on their own for lunch, we'll figure that out.
About that, right?
And I have emailed George last night concerning questions, like when I've been on labor boards before for like the county, they always came in, here's the questions we're gonna ask, they get asked all the same. And then we take turns doing it mainly. I've been in some where we were able to do our own questions, and I do have a few things that I would like to make sure we cover on our side of it, so I'm waiting to hear back from George on that. So, and because there are touchy things we cannot ask. So, and I know part of that is anybody that's doing any Googling, anything you find on Google about somebody, you cannot bring that up in an interview.
What I don't quite understand is, so you have the meeting on the 25th with everyone, and the selection's 28th, how is there gonna be anything written up that we know said?
We will get recommendations from each one of the panels. And I don't know, the meet and greets I've been at, so it's public that shows up and they have little comment papers, so if somebody from the public really liked this one, you know, that I talked to so-and-so for a long time and I liked, so you're gonna get some from the public, I would assume. And then we get recommendations from each one of the panels, will come to us and we'll sit down and hash it out.
But it should be the timeline that, so if the 25th is where all the panels meet, and you wanna select someone, the 28th, so how do we get all these comments collated and that the board gets?
George will have it.
Pardon?
George will have everything for you. George will have forms that you probably fill out. Turn in. Just, George will have.
The timeline, that, I mean, when would all this collation of what was said on the 25th?
I think you do it on the evening or late afternoon of the 25th.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you would meet then, you'd have all the numbers, you'd have all the notes, and be prepared to make your decision in public meeting on that Thursday.
And I think that's, and I don't have the timeline with me, but I think it's what the timeline
that's what.
says is at the end of the 25th, the board would meet.
It's an all-day meeting.
It's gonna be a long day,
It's a long
yes.
day.
Long day.
Anything else from anybody?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
may I share something that Brian Vituli at Tillamook County came up with?
Yes, of course.
And
I like
it was at the last Nawada meeting.
Oh, I'm
No,
sorry.
I forgot.
I don't
You
wanna
did
steal your
No.
thunder.
It's been on the whiteboard in the house. Go ahead.
Yes,
It's really good.
so Brian Vituli, who is the transit director, general manager at Tillamook County Transportation District, he came up with the sun will rise again for sunset.
Oh,
Yeah, so I wanted to share that, and he just came up with it off of his head. And I thought that was very inspirational and something, you know, Jennifer says she's got it on the whiteboard at Ops. But I wanted to share that, and people are thinking about it and thinking about Sunset Empire as a whole and what it means to.
Thank you, Darla. If there's nothing else, I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 11:03. Thank you, everybody, for coming.